Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I settled in with my evening cup of coffee the other night to catch up on General Hospital, and that June 4th episode had me leaning forward before I even got halfway through the first scene. Ethan Lovett stands there and flat out says he's little Phoebe Wilson's daddy. After all the wondering and watching the pieces move around, that baby girl, there it was, right out in the open. Or at least that's what he wanted everybody to think. Something about the way he said it didn't sit right with me from the jump. You know how sometimes a story sounds a little too neat, like somebody's trying to tie up loose ends before anybody can pull on them? That's exactly how it felt. And it didn't take long before the questions started showing up in all the usual places, the kind of questions that make you wonder just how much of what we're seeing is the real picture. Tracy was on it faster than a cat on a June bug, bless her heart. She's always had a way of sniffing out trouble when it comes to that Quartermain money, and this time was no different. She started digging, and what she turned up was enough to stop a person cold. Ethan agreeing to let Brooke, Lynn, and Chase take Phoebe in wasn't just about doing the right thing. It was tangled up with the family fortune and some shady business that feels darker the more you hear about it. The second Tracy got the lay of the land, she put a hard stop to the adoption. Just like that, the whole plan came crashing down around everybody's ears. It broke my heart watching Brooke Lynn try to make sense of it. She and Chase had their hearts set on giving that little girl a real home, the kind full of love and stability she deserves. You could see the hurt and confusion all over her face when the rug got yanked out from under her. She didn't know which way was up and who could blame her. Ethan, on the other hand, looked mad enough to chew nails. His big plan had fallen apart, and he wasn't shy about showing it. The whole thing left me wondering how many other secrets are still sitting in the shadows, waiting their turn to step into the light. While all that was boiling over back home, Alexis and Ava had taken themselves off to New York to look into Delilah Wilson's past. They end up wandering into an art gallery, of all places, and after a few pointed questions and dropping the Quartermain name, the owner, a fellow they call Apollo, decides to show them something, a photograph. One single picture of Ethan standing right there with Delilah. It didn't need any explaining. That image said more than a whole day's worth of talk, and it hit Alexis and Ava square between the eyes. Suddenly, Ethan's big confession didn't look quite so simple anymore. When Alexis got back and started pressing him about that picture and what it meant, Ethan stuck to his story. He told her he wasn't ready to be a father, that's why he was willing to let Chase and Brooke Lynn raise Phoebe, and why he wanted the whole thing kept quiet. No name, no fuss. But after seeing how Tracy connected the dots to the family money and those darker dealings, and after that photo turned up out of nowhere, I couldn't help but feel like there's a whole lot more going on than what Ethan's letting on. Was he and Delilah sweethearts once, or just two people caught up in something bigger than either of them? The signs are everywhere you look, and every one of them points to trouble still brewing under the surface. It's the kind of twist that keeps you thinking long after the credits roll. Ethan might believe he's got everything under control, but with Tracy already on the scent and that photograph making the rounds where it matters, I have a strong feeling the truth is fixing to bust loose before too long. And when it does, it's bound to pull more than one person into the storm. It's hard not to scratch your head and wonder why Ethan is bending over backward to keep such a distance from little Phoebe. He claims he doesn't want anybody at the Quartermain mansion feeling like he's stepping in and interfering with his own daughter every time he walks through those doors. On the surface, it might sound like a man trying to do the decent thing, stepping aside so the child can bond clean and clear with Brooke Lynn and Chase without any confusion hanging over the house. But the more I turn it over in my mind while sitting there watching, the thinner that story starts to feel. It's like he's offering up one small reason so nobody looks too hard at the bigger, heavier truth he's carrying around. What really got my attention and made me sit up straighter was learning just how far Ethan had gone to work with Apollo and keep the art gallery quiet about Delilah's past. While Alexis and Ava were standing right there in that New York gallery asking their pointed questions, Apollo was on the phone with Ethan, getting his marching orders on what to hold back and what to steer clear of. And it wasn't only those two ladies he was keeping in the dark. Apollo had been holding back information from the police investigation into Delilah too, all because Ethan had asked him to stay quiet. That kind of quiet coordination behind the scenes tells me Ethan has been fighting tooth and nail to protect whatever secrets Delilah carried with her, even after she's no longer here to protect herself. It hit me like a ton of bricks that this wasn't just a one-time favor. It looked like a full-blown effort to make sure certain things never saw the light of day. It seems to me that Ethan did everything in his power to shield Delilah and still came up short in the end. You could feel the weight of that failure hanging over him when the truth about the photograph started to slip out. Now all that fierce, desperate protectiveness has shifted straight onto Phoebe's little shoulders, and he's even more determined than before. Maybe that's exactly why he finally stepped forward and admitted he's her father, to help push the investigation into Delilah's past toward a quicker close and smooth the path for the adoption to go through without more roadblocks or prying eyes. When a man feels like the walls are closing in around the people he cares about most, he'll sometimes do the one thing that might buy them a little safety, even if it costs him something personal in the process. I found myself nodding along even while I was doubting him, because I could see how a father might reach that point. Still, I can't shake the notion that Phoebe's real father and whatever family stands behind him might be powerful and dangerous in ways that make Ethan's blood run cold. The way he's been scrambling to bury the past, keep Apollo's mouth shut tight, and hurry the adoption along, it looks an awful lot like he's trying to build the strongest wall he can between that little girl and the bloodline she comes from. If that's true, then Ethan's big confession on the June 4th episode might not be the whole truth at all. It could be just another careful move in a much larger game, one designed to keep Phoebe out of harm's way no matter what it takes or who else gets caught in the crossfire along the way. These kinds of secrets have a way of growing heavier the longer they're carried, and Ethan looks like a man who's been carrying more than his share for quite some time now. It all ties back to that photograph Alexis and Ava uncovered in the gallery. One picture of Ethan standing there with Delilah said more than hours of talk ever could, and it opened the door to questions that Ethan clearly didn't want answered. When Alexis pressed him afterward, he stuck to his story about not being ready to be a father and wanting the adoption kept secret so his name stayed out of it. But after seeing how hard he worked with Apollo to hide Delilah's past, and after watching him grow even more desperate once that protection failed, it's difficult not to wonder if there's something much larger and more frightening at play. Maybe Ethan is trying to protect Phoebe from a father and family who could bring real danger into her life. Or maybe he's protecting himself and whatever arrangement he had with Delilah. Either way, the signs are pointing to a man who feels cornered and is doing whatever he can to keep the people he cares about safe, even if it means admitting only part of the truth. These kinds of hidden stories in Port Charles never stay buried for long. And I have a strong feeling the full truth about Ethan, Phoebe, and whatever danger might be circling is going to come tumbling out before too long. It leaves me wondering just how deep this goes and what else might still be hiding in the shadows. Ethan might be telling part of the story, the part that makes him look like he's stepping aside for the child's sake. But I have a hunch there's plenty more he's still holding close to the vest. And when the rest of it finally comes to light, it's bound to change the shape of more than one family before the dust settles. Watching it all play out has me both worried for that little girl and strangely hopeful that the people who truly care about her will find a way to keep her safe through whatever storm is still coming.